रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः। पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपन व्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीं पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थितां आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम्। सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमिदं कालदेशावदिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः उरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावत् भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे। हन्तभाग्यं जनानाम् अग्रे पश्यामि तेजो निबिडतरकला यावळी लोभनीयं पीयूषप्लावितोऽहं तदनु तदुतरे दिव्यकैशोरवेशं तारुण्यारम्भरम्यं परमसुखरसास्वाद रोमाञ्चिताङ्गैः आवीतं नारदाद्यैः विलसदुपनिषत्सुन्दरीमण्डलैश्च बाहुद्वन्द्वेन रत्नोज्ज्वलवलयभृता शोणपाणिप्रवाळेनोपाता वेणुनाळीं प्रसृतनखमयूकाङ्गुलीं सङ्गशारां हृत्वा वक्त्रारविन्दे सुमधुरविकसदरागमुद्भाव्य मानैः शब्दब्रह्मामृतैः त्वं शिशिरितभुवनैः सिञ्च सिञ्च मे कर्णवीथीम्। योगीन्द्राणां त्वदङ्गेष्वधिकसुमधुरं मुक्तिभाजां निवासो भक्तानां कामवर्षद्युतरुकिसलयं नाथ ते पादमूलं नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे पवनपुरपते कृष्णा। कारुण्य सिंधो Krishna karunya sindho hritva nisheshatapan pradishatu paramananda sandoha lakshmi अज्ञात्वा ते महत्वं यदिह निगदितं विश्वनाथ क्षमेतः स्तोत्रं चैतत् सहस्रोत्तरमधिकतरं त्वत्प्रसादाय भूयात् द्वेधा नारायणीयं श्रुतिषु च जनुष स्तुत्यत वर्णनेन स्फीतं लीलावतारैरिदमित कुरुताम् आयुरारोग्य सौख्यम जानकीकान्तस्मरणं गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः. With the abundant blessings of the presiding deity, Lord Srinivasa Venkateshwara Swami of our own temple, Padmavati Tayar of this very temple, and Andal Nachiyar of this temple, I have had the Saubhagyam, so do the Rasikas have it, of being a part, an integral part of this Bhagavata Saptaha Yajnam. Generally, while a Shravana Yajnam is organized, such as this, yesterday at the commencement between 6:30 and 6:45, I spoke about Shravana Yajnam. There are three essential characteristics of a Grantham. One is called Vaktr Vailakshanyam. Second is Shrotr Vailakshanyam. Third is Vishaya Vailakshanyam. Vaktr Vailakshanyam is who is speaking. That person should have some greatness. Let's take for example Bhagavad Gita. It is called the Song of the Lord. Aurobindo states it as the Song of the Lord. Those of you who learn or who have learnt or who plan to learn Shastriya Sangeetam will first be exposed to a Sampurna Ragam. That Ragam should have all the Swarams, like Maya Malava Gaula, and then we go on permutations there. Sari Gama Pada Nisa Sari 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 Gama Pada Nisa. Then we check if our tongue can roll well. Sari 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 Riga Gama Riga 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 Gama Papa Gama Gama. So that's the janta. Then we go to male sthai, ucha sthai, and tat. So the first time a student of Shastriya Sangeetam is introduced to a so-called song comes in the level called Geetam. That is when the student is exposed to something called as a song. Of course, it can go to the level of a Kriti with a Madhyama Kalam and so on, but it begins somewhere. Lambodara Lakumikara. That Lakumikara will stay in our ears. So that is the song. When the Lord chooses to sing, it becomes Bhagavad Gita. We learn Geetam. This is Bhagavad Gita. He has sung. Of course, I don't know whether he sung in which ragam, whether it was in the Sampurna Ragam, or he chose some very, very different kind of Raktri Ragas. We don't know, but he sang. Who got the inspiration of Krishna singing on the battlefield? All the directors during the N.T. Ramarao period. So, Swami Rama would have come to the battlefield and Ranga Rao would be standing opposite. They have to fight. But this Rama, immersed in music, will sing one in Kedara Gaula. Oh Ravana, on the battlefield. Imagine. In that he'll do a small sancharam also. Sri Manini Mandira Bhakta Mandara Trailokya Sammohanakara Premavatara Jagannatha Lokadinatha. He has to take the arrow. And the distance between the two people who are fighting the battlefield will barely be 10 feet. But the arrow will fly for 5 minutes. Poitu varum. So, Vaktra Vailakshanyam. Krishna spoke the Gita. It was after all the Lord who answered. So, there is greatness attached to who has spoken. When Yudhishthira answered the questions of Yaksha, 124 questions to drink water, I would have chosen some other place. 124 questions he answered. Yaksha Prashna. Vidura patiently answered the questions posed by his worthless brother, Dhritarashtra. That is Vidura Niti. So there is greatness attached to who has spoken. Krishna spoke the Gita, Vidura spoke the Niti, Yudhishthira gave answers to the Prashnam posed by Yaksha. That is called Vaktra Vailakshanyam. Vakta, who listens. Shrotra Vailakshanyam. The listener should also be great. We often say, Krishna could have delivered the Gita to anybody. But he chose Arjuna. Why? Gudakeshaha. Gudaka means sleep. Gudakeshaha means the one who has won over sleep. Only they should listen to discourses. Right? So Krishna was very careful. 700 verses he is giving. Imagine Arjuna does this, Krishna won't like it. So he chose who is the one who has won over sleep. Here comes Arjuna, he is my listener. So the listener should be equally possessing a very admirable CV, resume, to be a listener. That is called Shrotra Vailakshanyam. Third is, of course, Vishaya Vailakshanyam. What is the topic which upon, see, listener is good, speaker is good. Topic, idli. 7 days idli. Podi idli. We do various fried idli. Who will listen? Of course, today, these days, cooking channels have the maximum subscribers. Even I am planning to start one. Cooking channels, the person would have just begun. You try those recipes, it won't come that well. Somehow they do some jugaad. कुछ तो कर लेते हैं, बहुत अच्छा दिखाई देता है. Maximum subscribers. But Vishayam, the topic should be equally interesting. Vishaya Vailakshanyam. This is called Vailakshanya-trayam. Speaker, listener, topic. Let's take Bhagavata. Who is the listener? Parikshit. The one who has coexisted with Bhagavan in the same womb. Speaker, Shukabrahmam, son of Vyasa, grandson of Parashara, great-grandson of Shakti, great-great-grandson of Vasishtha. His great-great-grandfather Vasishtha was the teacher to Rama. Grandfather Parashara gave us Vishnu Puranam, father gave Mahabharatam, son gave Bhagavatam. What a family. They have given maximum syllabus for speakers. Ramayanam, Bhagavatam, Bharatam, Vishnu Puranam. Over, one family. In those days, I'm sure the elderly folk here will be able to relate to. In case of arranged or assisted marriages, family background was extremely important. So they would check how the family is. So the entire retinue would come to check on the girl. And poor girl said they have to make that kesari, bhaji, all of that. She'll be made to sing, dance. So, then they will say, see, sir, this is that boy. This is that grandfather. He has published Ramayana Pustakam in 1903, sir. This is that father who has published Bhagavata Pustakam in 1930. What has the boy done? Nothing. Greatness is all only for the ancestors. But in Shuka Brahmam's case, he too was a part of adding glory to this legacy. Of course, as I keep doing the Dhyana shlokas, you must have noticed one shlokam. Achaturu vadanor brahma, dvibahur aparo harihi, aphala lochana shambhuhu, Bhagavan Badarayana. Badarayana is the other name for Vedavyasa. Vedavyasa was born to, I will ask this question. I have leaked the question now itself. I will ask this question later. Remember this nama. Parashara and Matsyagandhi Satyavati had a relationship. She turned pregnant. She delivered the child secretly. See what all has happened. She delivered secretly on an island. That island was a part of the fresh waters of Yamuna. Since this boy was born in a dvipam, he was called Dvaipayana. He was dark. Krishna Dvaipayana. Later, he was also given the name Badarayana. And upon a certain Herculean task that he took upon himself to segregate the mantras of the Vedam as per the format in which they are. Some in prose, some in poetry, some fit to be sung, some as Samam, some as Yajus, some as Rik. So he did the process of reorganizing them, not creating them, reorganizing, bucketing them. Since he did this process of Vyasam to the Vedas, he was called Veda Vyasa. So Veda Vyasa's commendable contributions to Sanatana Dharma include creating a magnum opus such as Sri Mahabharatam. Mahabharatam, 18 parvas, close to, along with Harivamsham as the appendix, 1,25,000 verses, 2.5 times the size of Odyssey and Iliad put together. Largest epic. And till about 40 years, we had one Swami in Kanchipuram, Tatacharya Swami, who had memorized all the 1,25,000 verses. We can't remember few phone numbers today. Where have we reached? There is no glory in saying my device remembers. Device is our creation. The Lord's creation is we. What are we doing to our memory? Now you may ask, what is the use of him doing? They didn't suffer from these many cases of dementia and all other disorders that we are suffering. You keep giving work to your brain. It will remember. It is such a big hard disk that is ever known. 1,25,000 verses. You don't have to do a control search at all. He will tell you this verse occurs in which parva. So, Vyasacharya's biggest contribution is Mahabharatam. His father Parashara praises Krishna Dvaipayanam Vyasam Vidhinarayanam Prabhum Kohyanyo Bhuvi Maitreya Mahabharata Krit Bhavet. Who but my son can create a great work like Mahabharata? Father praises, Vyasa praises his own son's contribution. He says, my son is great. Sir, what is so great about this? Because Shastram forbids the parents from praising their own children. Shastram says, parents should not praise. Sir, wouldn't this demotivate the child? Wouldn't that child feel a lot suppressed and oppressed? No. Others have to praise. Mattava pugaranu. Eppadi kolandai petrikal yaru pugalilla nammale aha malaye thooki pidipanna. So Vyasa was praised by his father Parashara. Parasharatmajam Vande. We don't say Parashara's son, we say Parashara Atmajam. What a beautiful word. Angad sambhavasi hridayad adhijayase atma vai putranamasi, says Vedam. Angad sambhavasi hridayad adhijayase atma vai putranamasi, says Tvam jiva sharadashatam, says Vedam. Father should end up praising the daughter and the son. How should they bless with this mantra? Angad sambhavasi. Look at your fingers and mine, they look the same. Angad sambhavasi. Hridayad adhijayase. What is my wavelength? You too have something very similar. Atmavai putra namasi. My son or daughter, may you live long. So it is believed that the father does a reincarnation in the form of their son or daughter. So the daughter or the son is called Atmaja. That is why Parashara Atmajam Vande Shukatatam Taponidhim. Why is Vyasacharya's greatness described? See, just now I said, parents should not praise their children. Correct? Shastram says, Pratyakshe Guravastutyat. You have to praise your guru. But parents should not praise their children. But why has Vyasa gone against a Shastric rule? I'll tell you one anecdote for this. You have to remember, you have to keep remembering. This is not a concert. Concert, the person will be, we can do on the WhatsApp. But discourse is a serious thing. You have to keep listening. So, there is a great poet whom we all respect in Sanātana Dharma called Bharavi. Have you heard of Bharavi? Bharavi gave us which work? Very good. Kiratarjuniyam. Beautiful work. Classy work. Make it a point. Every 2 months you have to, or 3 months, you have to take up a Sanskrit work and study. Free time, study. Learn. You don't have to give a lecture. Just study. Enjoy. Shriyah kurunam adhipasya palinim prajasuvrittim yamayungta veditum savarnalingim viditas samayayo yudhishtiram dvaitavane vanecharaha. Such a beautiful verse. Shriyah kurunam adhipasya palanim. Kurunam adhipaha. So it describes about how Arjuna had to prepare himself for the yuddham. So Krishna says you need to seek some divine intervention to get yourself equipped for the war. So Arjuna goes and he seeks the intervention of Indra. Alongside, he also is advised by Krishna to impress upon Mahadeva, Rudramurti. So Arjuna prays. As Arjuna is engaged in austerities, one day a wild boar comes and attacks Arjuna. He is in the forest. Bound to happen. Now Arjuna was in a meditative posture like us. He was aware of what was happening around. So he immediately took the bow and the Sabyasachi that he was, he aimed an arrow at the boar. The boar fell. But there was a problem there. The boar was struck by 2 arrows. When he went and saw, both of them were customized. So it was written over the arrows whose arrow it was. Like the steel vessels that used to be given in those days, tinkering used to be done so that the other sister-in-law doesn't end up taking it. So it was written over the arrow whose arrow it is. So that is when he spots the arrow of a kirata, of a hunter. He's surprised. Who could have done this? Then the Kirata comes, very well built and extremely handsome. He comes with his wife. And he claims that I shot the arrow first. You check the CCTV footage. I shot. After I shot, your arrow came and hit. So your arrow basically didn't do its job. It just came and hit. But that's okay, you take the boar. The Kirata is telling Arjuna. It was the biggest insult to Arjuna. He was that first bencher, first rank holder. Suddenly somebody comes, he couldn't take it. Then he started fighting with the Kirata. The fight was so intense that at one point in time, Arjuna struck the left shoulder of the Kirata. What was the effect? The pearls that were strung around the neck of the Kirata's wife was unstrung and it fell on the ground. The hit was on the left shoulder of the Kirata. But that lady's pearl necklace came down. Why? He's Ardhanarishvara, Shiva. So if you hit his left shoulder, the tremor will be felt in hers. So she got worried, oh my goodness, what is going to happen to my husband? Ananta Kavi in Bharata Champu says, Yata ishu shrutim jajapa. She started reciting Shri Rudram for the safety of her husband, it seems. Yata ishu shrutim jajapa. Because the Shruti is Yata ishu shivatama shivam babhuvate danuh shiva sharavya yata vataya no rudram ridaya. She recited. So then they have a fight, and finally this Arjuna is enlightened that the person who is standing opposite him is none but Mahadeva, and Pashupatashtram is given to Arjuna. This is the scene. This is described in close to 1500 verses in this work called as Kirata Arjuniyam, filled with all figures of speech and whatever is required to make it a wonderful, exquisite poetry. So this Bharavi, the person who composed, he was a prodigial poet. All of the city praised him but his father. So this Bharavi felt a lot dejected. What kind of a sadistic father I have? He was married, and then he thought, when the city is praising me and my father is not praising me, I should kill my father. So he knew where his father would come sit and eat. So he took a big boulder and wanted to throw that right on the head of his father. So he stood on the roof. Incidentally, that day when the father had come, the father was speaking to his wife, Bharavi's mother. Mother was asking, see, the entire city is praising our son. Why shouldn't you have a few nice flowery words to offer to our son? So the father says, see, Shastram says you should not praise your son. I am very proud of my son, but if parents end up praising their own children, fantabulous, fabulous, this and that, the child will have no scope for improvement. So you should let the others praise, and you should be a good critique. You don't have to criticize, but you have to critique. Both are two different things. So while this was said, Bharavi felt very bad. So he fell at his father's feet and said, I made a grave mistake of even having the intent to kill you. So please give me a route to emancipation. So the father said, since you insist, you may go to your mother-in-law's house. How is this Prayaschittam? No, that is not Prayaschittam. I'll tell you when you have to come from that house. So the first day he went, it was a lavish lunch. It was a huge spread. It was such a huge plantain leaf placed for Bharavi. To reach the dishes placed on the other end of the leaf, you have to actually walk the other end. Next day it was reduced by half, the spread. The number of dishes also came down. The third day it was, I don't know, Tamil, good dish atam julva. So you don't have to add lentils to it. So, and then the next day it was buttermilk. And then she said, see, it takes a lot of time for me to serve you and then do it. So let's both eat together. So while eating, he said, I need some salt. So she took some salt with her left hand and placed. And that was the Prayaschittam, till the salt is placed with the left hand. So this incident is often said as to why parents should not extremely praise their children. But being the case of Vedavyasa, his father Parashara praised, because if it goes beyond a certain limit, the parents will be coaxed to praise their children. The achievements should be so good. That is why Janaka said, Iyam Sita Mama Suta, she is my daughter. The parents will end up owning their children if their achievements is so high. Romba ashada irundha yaar kodandene theriyala yaardo neengale thedikunga appave. So this Vyasacharya, who gave us Mahabharatam, who gave us the esoteric essence of the Vedanta in the form of Upanishadic teachings, at times people used to wonder if he is Brahma, because he has given such wonderful creations, but Brahma is believed to have 4 heads. But Vyasa has 1. So people said he is Brahma minus 3 heads. A Chaturvadanor Brahma. He is Brahma minus 3 heads. Is he the person who helps us sustain the Jivatma in the body? Is he Vishnu? Yes, he is Vishnu minus the 2 hands. Dvibahur aparo harihi. Is he Shiva and bringing a dissolution to all our miseries? Yes, but he is Shiva minus that 1 eye. Apala Lochana Shambhu. So Vyasa is Brahma minus 3 heads, Vishnu minus 2 hands, Shiva minus 1 eye. Achaturvadanor Brahma, Dvibahur Aparo Harihi, Apala Lochana Shambhu, Bhagavan Badarayanaha. This is the greatness of Vyasa. Now Vyasa had a greater son, that is Shuka Brahma. So to that Shuka Brahman, Parikshit asks a question in the 7th canto. Introduction is over. 31 minutes introduction. They will do 3 TED talks by this time. Like you'll be given that mic, in 7 minutes you have to finish that TED talk. Upanyasakas can never qualify for TED talks because generally our lectures are 2.5 to 3 hours without drinking a sip of water. We have to keep speaking. So we are disqualified from TED talks. Nevertheless, Parikshit, the son of, stand up on the bench. Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna. Arjuna is the son of Pandava. Very good. Parikshit asks a question. Samah priya suhid brahman bhutanam bhagavan swayam indrasyarthe katam daityan avadhish vishamo yatha. Parikshit has a question. He says, Shuka Brahman, Krishna has told in Bhagavad Gita. Chronologically, Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is already over. So he cites Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. This is Krishna Vakyam in Gita. Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. I treat everyone equally. Whether for him it doesn't matter whether it is Kamala, Obama, Biden. No problem. Everybody. He is not bipartisan at all. For him, everybody is the same. Samah Priya Suhrid Brahman. Samoham Sarvabhuteshu. Whether you are yellow, black, brown, whatever. For the Lord, you are equal in his eyes. So Parikshit uses this quotation and says, if the Lord treats everyone equally, why was this treatment of tearing open Hiranyakashipu on one side and being extremely benevolent to Prahlada on one side justified? If you're equal to all, you shouldn't be cruel to one and be very good to the other. This is called Vaishamyam and Nairgranyam in Brahma Sutram. If the Lord seems to be very partial, so you're wearing ikat sari, extra boroni points to you. White color dhoti -2, negative marking. If the Lord starts differentiating, then wouldn't that amount to some kind of disparity in his creation? Samah Priya Suhrid Brahman. Why should the Lord show extreme benevolence to Prahlada while showing such enmity and cruelty on Hiranyakashipu? This was Parikshit's question. Now, Shukacharya is the inspiration to all we Upanyasakas. He will not give a direct answer. He will start with his own narration. By the time 7:45 comes, he would have completed that narration. That is Upanyasa. So he says, very good question, Parikshit. First of all, in question answer session, you should learn the art. If somebody poses a question, you should appreciate the question. Super. Then they will be so engrossed in that appreciation that they have received, they wouldn't even lend their ears to listen to the answer. Then you can answer whatever you want. So, here he said, very good question. The same question of yours that you have asked was posed by the eldest brother of your grandfather. Now tell me. Okay. Yudhishthira asked the same question. You remember that Woodward's grape water advertisement? Do you know that? The baby will cry. So then after the baby cries, they'll come out. They won't give a solution. Inda marida niyo alde. Same. Here now he says the same question was asked by this. Why? Because we are a civilization of precedents. We always check who has asked this question before. In some of our textbooks we used to have lanthanides, actinides. They used to say, as discussed in the previous chapters. If you go to the previous chapter, they'll say in the forthcoming chapters we'll be discussing. Adha na munnadiye sonnene. Munnadi enga sonnar. Adha ipo vara porde. Mati. This is called as Kanchipura Samarthyam. Anybody from Kanchipuram here? Nalla urna. Kochikupura pro. Very good place. Did I talk about Kanchipuram that day? So if it is a repeat, you have to tell. Done. You have to press that button. So here, Shuka Brahmam says, the same question was asked. What was the question? Partiality, benevolence and all of it. Where does this occur? In Saptamaskandam, Shuka Brahmam talks about the housewarming ceremony that happened in Hastinapuram, near Hastinapuram. You all know that the Panchapandavas were out to a palace of Lakshagraham. It was burning. And then through the secret passage, they tried escaping to Ekachakra Nagaram. They were thought to be dead. Then, after marrying Draupadi, they come back to Hastinapuram. Duryodhana, he had a mild attack. He was not expecting them to come back alive. So he's checked, what should we do now? That is when Bhishmacharya recommends that it is high time that you do vibhajanam of the kingdom. You divide. Then, upon the advice of Shakuni, Dhritarashtra, waste king, he said, okay, I will give them one land. That piece of land was not fertile, infested with thorns, shrubs, and poisonous snakes. It was called Khandavam. Khandavam was given to the Pandavas. Pandavas now said, what will we do with this area? Krishna said, don't worry, whatever you have got, you should learn how to build your talent with it. Right? Balamurali madri koral varla enna panna mudiyum? Onnum panna mudiyadhu. Irukradha vechi paada vendiyadhan. How people accept is a different thing. See, when Padma Subramanyam, her eyes are so beautiful. What to do? We are not rekas to change, modify our. Reka alone can do that. Mook eppadi irukku? Garudan mari irukano illa kodamalaga enna pandrathu? Irukka vechi samalika vendiyadhan. So, see, Bhagavatam and Bharatam is time and again told and retold for us to probably live with whatever we have in our life happily. What is the use of whining? So here Krishna says, don't worry, we'll do something with Khandavam. He goes with Arjuna on a rampage. They destroy the shrubs, herbs. The plants are also affected. The snakes are affected. That is when Takshaka is also affected. Takshaka's son Ashwapala is affected. So Takshaka now avenges this humiliation. He says, I will avenge the humiliation meted to me. And this news is known to Shakuni, who brings him during the war when Karna fights Arjuna. Beautiful connect. So now with Maya and Vishwakarma, beautiful cities erected. Wonderful capital. Indra directs them. But Indra was a politician of those days. He says, I have initiated this, so now from now on it will be known by my name. So he calls it Indraprastham. For that Indraprastham, a Rajasuya Yagam had to be completed. Rajasuyam is when the surrounding kings have to be won either through diplomacy, through alliances, or you have to fight them. Bhima goes and fights Jayadratha, Jarasandha in Magadha Desham. Magadha is Bihar. So certain people, they say, we'll be good friends, and they all attend the Rajasuya Yajnam. Duryodhana, Dushyasana, Shakuni, they all come, the entire retinue, minus Dhritarashtra and Kunti and Gandhari, they all come to this place. As they come, everybody is given a task. When you're being an integral part of some event, you take up some task. So Krishna says, I will take up the task of washing the feet of those scholars of immense knowledge who attend this ceremony. Krishna does that. Then after all this event is over, there is a concept called Agra Puja. This Agra Puja is the first one who is to be worshipped. Then they all point fingers, unanimous decision, to Bhishmacharya, the overlived Dumbledore of those days. So, let's venerate and let's pay our obeisances to Bhishmacharya. But Bhishmacharya says, see, age alone doesn't command respect. If at all there is one person who should command this respect, it is Krishna. And Pandavas were extremely elated because Krishna is so close to them. So Sahadeva went with all the puja materials. He sat at the feet of Krishna while he was about to perform. Shishupala stands up. This abactor, this cattle thief, doesn't deserve the honor that you are according to him. He has danced in the mid of the night while he was a little kid. Liar. He didn't even have formal education till he knew who his parents were. He studied under Sandipani in correspondence. This boy, who is now claiming to have matured into an administrator, doesn't deserve an iota of respect. And he started abusing Krishna. He abused Krishna to that extent even when Duryodhana felt bad. Blood, same blood. Blood started oozing. So Shakuni started feeling back. Shishupal, thoda kam kar do. Balarama got angry, but Krishna was counting. Ekastve Vishnustvanan vetu dve bhudve Vishnustvanan vetu. He was counting. You mannerless person. What are you counting as Balarama? Because I have promised his mother 100 abuses I will tolerate. The 101st came. Shishupala's head was floating in the air. Body, like that Katappa's body. It was dancing and it fell. As blood started oozing from the body, all those police people, they came with a chalk piece and they started drawing around the body. Now, nobody opened, generally they would say, right, human rights. This is wrong. This is, you are oppressing him. You are the oppressor. He is the victim. All that they'll say. But they didn't open their mouth because the chakram was still there. See, sanātana dharma is not only about sattva gunam. You should know how to have that kshatram in you. Kshatram is kshatriya's willpower. But of course in Tamil we use it in a different context for revenge. Kshatram. But kshatram means kshatriya's power. So they all kept quiet. Now after they all went away, Yudhishthira felt very bad. Narada Maharshi, I wanted to keep a simple housewarming ceremony. This became a bloodshed here. Police are coming. One is asking, when did you see Shishupala last? Trace the last phone call of Shishupala. Who did this? Was Shishupala? What is all this? A simple housewarming ceremony has become one big CBI case. That is when he asks, why should Krishna be affectionate to us while showing anger to Shishupala? You getting the point? Connection? The same. That is why Shuka Brahmam says a similar question was asked by the eldest brother of your grandfather. Connection is over? Next. What will Narada reply? He tells another story. This is where he says, different people reach the same destination through different means. People ask me, when they used to ask me, why did you become an engineer? Because 8 of my cousins were engineers. Mahajano yenagatissa panthaha, says Shastram. When great people walk, you should walk in that path. Mahatmanam darshanam, you have to walk in that path. Mahajano yenagatissa panthaha. But of course, times have changed. Now there's a plethora of options thrown before the children. They can choose what they want. But at one point in time, you have to go in the same direction, tried and tested method. Whether you like Bernoulli or whether you like Schrödinger, you still have to learn the equation and write that exam. So here, there are different ways to reach Krishna. Gopyaha kamat. Narada says, Gopyaha kamat. Gopika Stris reach Krishna through love, just love. Gopyaha kamat, bhayat kamsaha. Kamsa reached Krishna just through fear. From the day he was told you will die, he didn't sleep. He used that sleep well tablet, ashwagandha, everything he used. he had, what is gasagasa? Kuskusa. Kaskas. Kaskas payasam. You know kaskas payasam? That will also give you sleep. Somebody said, sir, we don't use any of these. We listen to your discourses. A side effectless remedy. So, Gopyaha kamat bhayat kamsaha. Kamsa did not sleep. That is why Andal tells, Oruthi maganai pirandu oriravil oruthi maganai olirthu valara tarikila nagitan தீங்கு நினைந்த கருத்தை பிழைப்பித்து கல்ஜல் வயிற்றினில் நெருப்பென நின்ற நெடுமாலே. கஞ்சன் வயிற்றில் நெருப்பு. He didn't sleep. Bhayat kamsaha. See, I have 45 lectures in 8 cities. Every day, 2.5 hours. 8 flights, 4 are red-eye flights. Not 1 day gap. Now this red-eye flight is okay. There are flights which will start for me at 5 a.m. for which I have to leave the house because invariably the airport will be in a different country. So I have to travel for that 1 hour. Then I have to stand in the serpentine queues of security who will ask me to take everything out. Then, so invariably 2 o'clock I have to wake up, for which the alarm will be at 2. And every 1 hour, I will get an alarm. I'll have to check. Oh, no, it is not 2. I have to sleep. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1:30. Then I'll wake up and I'll check if the alarm is working or not. Because of the fear that I will miss the flight. Gopyaha kamat bhayat kamsaha. He used to wait. If the 8th child born, 8th child born. Dveshat chaidyaha. Hatred. Chaidyaha is Sishupala. Just hatred. Dayondripaha sambandhat vrishnaya snehad yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. Through sambandham, Vrishnis got moksham. Through love, just bhakti, you and I shall get. So there are different ways. So what he essentially says is, if you go through different ways, but you're reaching the same destination, how does the route matter? See, ultimately, if Hiranyakashipu is going to go to moksham, and Prahlada is also going to go to moksham, the destination is the same. Only thing, little blood here, there's no blood there. That's all. Now, that said, you remember day 1, which was Saturday, at about 8 o'clock, I spoke about the curse pronounced upon the Dwarapalakas. You remember? Yeah. Remember it for the next 5 days, that's all. So, Hiranyakashipu, the elder brother, saw his younger brother Hiranyaksha's dead body, that death meted in the hands of Varahamurti, reaching his Sabhamantapam. He was extremely upset. That is when Hiranyaksha's wife, Rusha Bhanu, and his mother Diti Devi came and lamented over the death of Hiranyaksha. This world has lost one of its greatest anti-social elements. They all cried. Yaar inma padutuva. So they all cried. While they were lamenting, crying profusely. Don't cry. Atma is nityam. Shariram is anityam. The body is perishable. The Jivatma keeps going one body after the other. Why should you cry? Nityaha, Atmaha, Avyayaha. Who gives this advice? Hiranyakashipu. There is one Hiranyakashipu Gita in Bhagavatam. Nitya Atma Avyayaha Shuddha Sarvaga Sarvavitparaha Dhatte Satmato Lingam Mayaya Visrijan Gunan. He advises. Now we may wonder, sir, आप दोबारा बताइए ये क्या हिरण्यकशिपु जी है? हाँ, हिरण्यकशिपु. Then why, sir, he is talking so much philosophy? Then why did he turn wild? Because we are also philosophers. But we are a beautiful jamboree of 3 gunas, sattva, rajo, tamo gunam. First half an hour of the lecture, everybody's sattva gunam will be at the peak. இப்படிலாம் அதாவது we will be the best at abhinayam. After half an hour that we'll get bored. Patient இல்லை போயிட்டு இருக்காரு இவன். They will look at me with fiery eyes. மொறைப்பா என்னை பார்த்து, நான்லாம் கண்டுக்க மாட்டேன். That is rajogunam. Then they will understand this man is incorrigible, irreversible, irreparable. He will keep going on. Then they'll get tired. Tamogunam. Shivuniki rajasa gunamichi kamala bhavuniki tamasa gunamusagi shachi dhavuniki garvamu neragajesina bhaguga shri tyagaraja vinuta ninnu yemani pogadudura. So this gudam will be there. So Hiranyakashipu also had his fair share of learning. He was a son of Kashyapa after all. Right? So, with this knowledge, he also had the vairi, the vendetta to seek revenge on the one who has given this treatment to his brother. So, while he speaks to his sister-in-law and his mother, he says, like you all cry. Similarly, the wives of a king called Suyagnya in a country called Ushinara cried over the death of the king. So while they were lamenting, Yamadeva appeared in the form of a little boy and he said, do not cry. I will tell you a story. See, you have to be very careful. Shuka Brahmam Parikshit Samvadam. In that there is Narada Yudhishthira Samvadam. In that there is Hiranyakashipu, Diti and Rishabhanu Samvadam. In that Yamadeva comes as a little boy and goes and tells the story to the king while the death of Suyagnya in Ushinara country about a hunter who went on an expedition to catch the birds. As he threw the net, most birds were caught and in a couple, one of the consorts was separated from the other consort. So the other one started crying, looking at the bird which was caught in the net. As this was lamenting over the bird's loss, the net was thrown upon this bird also. Do you get the message? He asked. Message is, we keep lamenting over the death of people who are very close to us without realizing we are just in that queue. Yeah. You know, in Yaksha Prashnam, one of the questions is, Kimascharyaha? The question is so simple. Yaksha asks Yudhishthira, what is surprising? Look at the question. Kimascharyaha? What is surprising? Yudhishthira tells, you know what is surprising? We have lived with a person, the person is dead. You know, we will condole the death as if we are immortals. பேர் கூடாதுண்ணா, ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். ஐயோ சுவாமி, அடுத்தது நீர் தான். இப்போவே வாத்தியாரோட பேசி வச்சுக்கோங்க. So, this is when we go for the railway ticket issuing, somebody is issued the ticket. Will we cry over that? Because the next ticket is ours. So, this is the message given by Yamadeva through this hunter episode to the crying wives of Suyagnya of Ushinara country, told by Hiranyakashipu to Rishabhanu, telling that Hiranyaksha's death is not something to be lamented upon because we will all die. Till now he was good Hiranyakashipu. Kadavul paadi mirugam paadi kalandu seida kalavai naan. Slowly he turns. This onion comes now. Now he goes to do penance towards Brahma. Because he wanted some extra boon, some extra power to fight the Lord. While he was leaving, his wife Kayadu came and showed that strip. She was pregnant. He immediately tweeted, congrats Kayadu. He didn't say that, tweeted. He tweeted, congrats at Kayadu _ something. He tweeted. Then he left for penance. As he left for penance, see, one thing that we need to learn from Asuras as well. Why are we speaking about all these scriptures? They were extremely hardworking. Indra waste. Asuras were extremely hardworking. But the biggest problem was when they earned the fruits of their hard work, they didn't utilize that well. Indra, on the other hand, won't work hard, but he had the right contacts. Contacts correct. He will lose and again go for another thing. Now, he prayed to Brahma. Brahma is again a person who wouldn't check on the intent of the person. If somebody says Brahma Deva, he'll get impressed. This is a lesson for us. Parents should not overcommit to their children. You do this, I will buy that. You do this, I will take you to Alaska cruise. Adu Alaska ve naale kekkum. So, Right Honorable V.S. Srinivasa Shastri used to state about Dasharatha. Dasharatha was a king who used to promise in haste and repent in leisure. You should never promise or commit yourself unless and until you're sure about it. Brahma was antithetical to what is being said now. You promise. Brahma appeared. So Brahma, he used to come on Hamsavahanam. Vedodanvad vibhajana vidau vamshajam vishwamurtehe ahussiddhaha, says Vedanta Deshika. He comes on Hamsavahanam. Brahma's Hamsavahanam will be slow. We used to have 2 trains, now there are many, to Delhi from Chennai. One used to start on day 1 night and day 3 morning it will reach. It was called Tamil Nadu Express. The other one would start, we wouldn't know when it will reach. That was called GT Express. So Brahma is generally GT. Slowly he came. Why Brahma is? Because generally Brahma is the only one whom we will always position as a very old man in all our dramas. Have you seen Brahma? Brahma will always come with that white beard. Shivan, Vishnu la eppovume Gillette shave panni triple blade oda jamman irpa after shave lam pottu. Brahma matta. Now Brahma appears. This is when Hiranyakashipu says, I should be immortal. Brahma says, wonderful boon that you are asking. But I am myself not immortal. How will I give you? My Brahma position will change. If you do 1000 Ashwamedha Yagams, you will become a Brahma. Anybody can become Brahma. Inclusive society. Anybody can do. You do 1000 Ashwamedhas, next you will become Brahma. So he said, see, I am not immortal. So how can I grant you immortality? Ask your boon in a different way. He comes up with constraints. He says, I should not die during the day, not during the night. I should not die inside my house nor outside my house. I should not be dying in the space nor on earth. I should not be dying at the hands of somebody who's completely human or an animal. I should not be dying in the hands of an object which is neither animate nor inanimate. So, if you throw a rattlesnake, he cannot die with the bite of a rattlesnake because it is animate. If you shoot an arrow, he cannot die because it is inanimate. So, that object should be literally loitering between being an animate and inanimate. All these boons. Brahma started sweating. This is close to immortality. Nantarbahirdiva naktamanyastyapi chaya ayudhaihi na bhumau nambare mrityur na narai na mrigairapi vyasurbhirva subhirva sura sura mahoragaihi apratidvandvatam yuddhe aikapatyam cha dehinam. Then Brahma said, have you left anything to ask? Because this seems to have completed the entire platter of boons. This is where Hiranyakashipu made a grave mistake. Probably he didn't even repent for it later. He said, I shouldn't be dying at the hands of something that falls under the ambit of your creation. Nothing which you have created should kill me. Brahma thanked his stars. Because there is somebody who has created Brahma who doesn't fall under the ambit of Brahma's creation. Vedanta Deshika interestingly asks, how will you find Parabrahmam? You need some lakshanam, right? So he says, around whose navel you see the dust and the pollen of the lotus sitting, he is Parabrahmam. Nali kena spurita rajasa vedaso nirmimana ramyavarta dyuti sahacharim ranganathasya nabihi. He says, keep searching for the undi, nabi of people. Whoever has this, see, can we do that? Ella thuppula kaminganda. I'm chenne mango. Oh, even. Nalikena spurita rajasa vedaso nirmimana ramyavarta dyuti sahacharim ranganathasya nabihi. There's one Kavi, I don't know the name of the poet who has sung this. Shayanikkum perumalin toppul kodi kamala toppul kodi mel brahman amarnda padi. Shayanikkum perumalin toppul kodi kamala toppul kodi mel brahman amarnda padi. உலகத்தின் உயிர்களை படைத்தபடி படைப்பினை திருமால் காத்தபடி அண்டம் பகிரண்டம் அதை காக்கும் அவன் கோதண்டம் விண்ணையும் மண்ணுலகையும் அளக்கும் அவ்வாமன பாதம் அருள் தரும் தேவா வரம் தரவாவா அருள் தரும் தேவா வரம் தரவாவா மூவுலகையும் ஆழ்கின்ற திரிவிக்ரம ரூபா என் நெஞ்சில் பள்ளி கொண்டவன் ஸ்ரீரங்கநாயகன் சயனத்தை ஆதிசேஷன் மேலே திருவடி திருமகள் மடி மேலே பூலோகநாயகன் ஸ்ரீரங்கன். So, this boon was asked and Brahma said, okay, granted. Now something had transpired in the due course of him having performed such intense austerities. You remember that pregnant Kayadu? Now Kayadu, one day she checked some person inside her house. He posed as a very known person, but he was a kidnapper. Who was he? Indra. Indra was very talented at kidnapping. So he came and kidnapped the pregnant Kayadhu on his Airavatam and took her away. Narada Maharshi spotted the Airavatam and Kayadhu. He said, Indra, this is not Indra. This is not your wife Shachi Devi. Ye kaun hai? So he said, this is Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadhu. Why are you carrying that lady in your this thing? So that time he said, no, she is carrying the fetus of that wretched Hiranyakashipu in her garbham. That man's child will be like him, like son, like father, like son. Narada says, again an important point, Vedanta Deshika invokes this in Shatadushani. Just because you have a certain nature-based parents, children don't have to be like them. You can actually, the child is given proper surroundings, the child could be the father or the mother minus their blemishes. So Indra, you don't conclude that Hiranyakashipu will necessarily have a son like Hiranyakashipu himself. He could be different. If you say this, it is wrong, Hiranyakashipu. Father could be different, son could be different, father could be good, son could be bad. See, your father was also good, Indra. Your father is Kashyapa Maharshi. Purila. Indra. So he said, I will take Kayadu. He took Kayadu home, like how Valmiki housed and was hospitable to Mata Sita. So he took Kayadu to his house. So right from the Garbham stage, he used to do Upanyasam. Narada Maharshi used to do Upanyasam. Varanarada Narayana Smarana Nanda Nubhava Mugala Varanarada Narayana Smarana. He used to do Upanyasam. But small defect, he just began his career. So one mistake, he used to serve her dinner and then do Upanyasam. It's a dangerous combination. After you eat, you sit for the upanyasam. So she used to sit, and there was only one person in the audience when Narada used to give upanyasam. At times she used to start sleeping and snoring. It would have been such a big insult to Narada. He stopped his lecture. He said, how can I continue? She's snoring. But there is a Karna Parampara that he could listen to some kind of sounds that presumably was that of a fetus. Medically not so tenable where the noise can come from. Probably he could see through. The fetus which was equally interested in listening. So then he thought, even if it's not for the snoring mother, for the developing fetus, I'll continue. That is why they do Veena Nadam. Did I talk about Veena? Munehe Veena Panehe, says Bhattadri Narayaniyam. He says the one who carries Veena protected her. Instead of calling him Narada. Why? Because he knows that he is the one who performed Seemantam for her. So Veena Panehe, he didn't have to call Gayatri, Jayanti, Kumaresh. He himself played. Munehe Veena Panehe. Now, eventually, as such esoteric content was being delivered to the mother, there was Nama Sankirtana. Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana. Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana. See, I have a mic. I agree that my voice will be better heard. But there are close to 200 people here. Open your mouths. See, that's the easiest way your tongue will roll. You will get used to human language. Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana. Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana. Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana. Narayana Narayana. So I will now take turns. So this half, that half. I'll point the finger. Let's see which side says it. Narayana Narayana. Narayana Narayana. Narayana Narayana. Narayana Narayana. Narayana Narayana. Narayana Narayana. Narayana 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 Narayana. With this namam in the background, the child was born. So this boy who was born was given the name Prahlada, that one who gives immense happiness. And as the baby was, you clean the baby, the umbilical cord is cut, the first 20 days is over, Punya Havachanam is over, Jata Karma is over. Hiranyakashipu comes from his on-site project. He now says, I've received the boons. That is when Kayadhu shows the child and he's extremely elated. He says, who protected you, Kayadhu? Narada Maharshi. Then he immediately gives one title to Narada Maharshi. Hiranyakashipu gives. Will Narada Maharshi have the audacity to hang that certificate? Below it is signed by Hiranyakashipu. Even for us, when we speak, some organization, they'll give some name, whether they like us speaking or not, they'll give Upanyasa Kesari, Upanyasa Upma. I don't know. Whether they like us or not, they'll give that certificate. Wherever I go, be it in Bharatadesham or whichever country I go, See, I have 250, 275 lectures a year. The organizers are extremely elated to welcome me. They'll first put one shawl full of jari. That shawl can't be used for any purpose. Full of jari it will be. It will burn you alive. So I'll tell no shawl. Then they'll get elated. They'll bring one big photo of Pattabhisheka Rama, 6 feet. It will be taller than me. Every organizer gives 250 lectures, 3,500 lectures I've given. If I have to hang all that, I say, give me an apartment also. Because I need to keep them. See, for us today, bhakti is directly proportional to how many photos we have in our house. Not necessary. 100 years back, did people have the printing facility? It was such a simple puja room with Shalagramam, or if you're a smarta, you'll have Panchayatanam. Simple house. Now everywhere, thank God bathrooms are not infested with. Everywhere else, photos and photos. Simple bags that have coconut as a gift, that will have one photo. Simple uttariyams, there will be some panchaksharam, shadaksharam, there will be one shankam, chakram, Ramayana, pallu. Huh? Why? See, just because we have been given the right to exercise of meditating upon the Lord in a form, we shouldn't overdo it. I'm sure there is, Golu is a big feature here, right? People have Excel sheet, you will have when to go to which house. Gifts, they will give some photo there. Please avoid Vigraham, all this please avoid. Now imagine, you have accumulated so many photos. After your times, you will be dead one day. Will your children be taking these forward? Will they keep them at home? You have a question to answer. And if they throw, is this the right thing? So do not accumulate. Think of a 50-year plan. One day we all have to die. We don't know when. What will happen? That Bhagavad Gita book shouldn't come on the street, because in India, many of them will come, they'll say, my parents are, I'll get mails like this, my parents are dead, Swami, all the karyam is over. He had accumulated 10 volumes of the Ramayana, and my mother had left a 25 sovereign gold chain. The gold chain we have taken, you come and take the Ramayana. So they know what they will make use of. So, please, don't think this is an advice. I'm too primitive a mortal to even give suggestions or advice. I'm somewhere at the bottom of the pyramid. But if at all you take this as a suggestion that comes from another individual, please do not accumulate pictures, photos. When someone gives it, you say, no, sorry, I have bhakti, I can't take it. There's no harm. Now we have digital photos, right? That's better because you can put them into recycle bin, retrieve them back. You can do whatever you want. But real photos, big photos, 6 feet, 7 feet, calendars, simple calendars should have 1, 2, 3. They will have an entire story full of God photos. What is this? Now, where did I start? But this title. So Narada Maharishi was given this title, and then Hiranyakashipu said, Kayadu, let's go home. He took Prahlada, went home. How was this boy? See, generally you have a 20-day-old kid. You can't be quiet with the kid. People have this question. Appa yarunu paaru. Adu yariyo paatrum. If the father is smart, he should go and stand in the place where the baby is looking. Adu paakra idama poi avaru poi nunno. Whenever I go to the traditional organizations, like we have Sri Ahobila Matham, Mandavana Ashramam, or even Sringeri Sannidhanam calls me, Kanchi Periva calls me, there'll be a crowd. They'll say, Dushyanth, unakku edu nanna theriyumo sollidu. That is the problem. Nanna edume theriyadu. Sumara dhaan theriyum. What really well, speak about it. Really well, we don't know anything. Partially well only we know. So this boy matured into a very fine devotee. Blemishless. Kamban tells that, those of you who can follow the regional languages, one of the earliest transcreations to Valmiki Ramayanam in the Indian languages was Kamban's Tamil Ramayana. Earliest, 10,348 verses. You go ask in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Varuma, they don't know Tamil. வராது, நாக்கு பிடிச்சு தேக்கணும். ஸோ கேட்டுக்கொள்ளுங்கள், சொல்லுங்கள். So if you speak like this, you can become a TV news reporter. Come, you're welcome, sir. So what do we know of Kamba Ramayanam? Annarum Nokinan? அந்த சுவாமி 10,348 பாட்டு பாடியிருக்க தள்ளெழுத்தவருக்கு. So we don't even know what was the original name of Kamban. He belonged to Terezhundur. We don't know what was his original name. It is said that after making such a beautiful compendium called the Ramayanam, he went and presented to the scholars of Srirangam. Srirangam scholars won't accept that easily. They said, the Lord has to approve. Where will the Lord come and approve? He said, I'll keep these manuscripts in front of Nrisimha in Srirangam. Let's see what he does. They heard the sound from a pillar. Kambam broke. So the Lord accepted what he said. So he became Kamban. We celebrate that name in a train. Kamban Express. So Kamban tells, how was this boy? Ayavantanakku arumagan arinyarkarinyan தூயர் என்பவர் யாரினும் மறையினும் தூயான் நாயகன் தனிஞானி நல் அறத்துக்கு நாதன் தாயின் மண்ணுயிர்க்கு அன்பினன் உளன் ஒரு தக்கோன். People were amused to look at the pure, pristine knowledge which this little boy had bequeathed at such a young age. They couldn't even imagine how this boy could be a repository of such pristine knowledge. Once the father asked, tell me what you know. You're watching so much of YouTube. You tell me what you know. Shasta Vishnu Raseshasya Jagadoyo Hridisthitaha Tameva Paramatmanam Tatah Kena Shasyate. I know one thing, Father. The one who commands you from the within is the same who commands me from the within, and he is generally known by the name Vishnu. You are learning too much from WhatsApp University. You need to go to proper school. So he spotted through search engine optimization that it was Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya, who were doing a good job. They called him and said, please teach my son. They said, okay, sir, done. Teach him that I am Parabrahmam. They said, there is no course material, sir. We have to prepare. Then they prepared one Ashtotra Shatanamavali. Hiranyakashapave namaha, Kashyapa putraya namaha, Aditi Kayadu Bhartaya namaha, Loka Dukkha Karanaya namaha. So this boy was taken to the hermitage. The classes would generally begin by 7 a.m. See, after having been nurtured in Bangalore and then in Chennai, well, I went to Pilani. We used to be given, it was very cold. Early morning, we used to be served breakfast. Tatte jilebi. You. Then, kaalangatala tatte and jilebi and jata. I can't even go the highway, I have to go bypass. Yeah. And then I understood some of my friends who spoke Hindi and other languages. They were all great devotees from the north of India. They were all great devotees of Nrisimha. Because the way they used to eat chapati, Sata patala bhishane sarabhasa attaha sodbhate. ரெண்டு கையாலையும் கிழிச்சு விட்டா 4 காலையும் வச்சு கிழிப்பா. So this boy was taken to the hermitage. 7 o'clock the classes would begin. The teachers heard some 93.4 FM at 4 a.m. ಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿರಲಿ ಉತ್ಕೃಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡದವರು ಇದಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ಕೃಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿರಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಾದರೂ ಮದಿ ಕೆಟ್ಟಿರಲಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕೃಷ್ಣವೆಂಬೋ ಶಿಷ್ಯರು ಬೇಡುವ ಅಷ್ಟಾಕ್ಷರ ಮಹಾಮಂತ್ರದ ನಾಮವ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಮದ ಸ್ಮರಣೆಯ ಸಾರಾಮೃತವು ಎನ್ನ ನಾಲಿಗೆಗೆ ಬರಲಿ ನಾರಾಯಣ. Boy was teaching. See, well, I used to be a student. The more you study, PhD, postdoctoral, those professors were not excellent at teaching, in my experience. Those boys who had just completed engineering, they'll just be teaching assistants, they'll do a wonderful job. So Prahlada was a very good teacher to these students. Each of them started speaking, "Dey, ivane nanna katudranda." We will change our affiliation from Shanda and Amarka to Prahlada. This boy was telling Narayana's Antaratma, Balyat, Kridanaka, Sakta, don't waste your time. Spend some time on spiritual enlightenment. Now, he was surprised. Shanda and Amarka, what is this? We are supposed to teach Hiranyakashipave Namaha. This boy is teaching Ashtaksharam to these boys. So they caught hold of Prahlada, took him to Hiranyakashipu's Sabha Mantapam and said, "Sir, thank you so much. You have produced one of the greatest sons, but our institution may not have the ability to have such a great jnani. Keep the son with you. TC." Now the father, that way Hiranyakashipu was good. He asked, "I've spent some money on you. At least you tell what you have learned till now." Parents should ask. This boy told, "Shravanam," passionate listening. Shravanam, dear father, I have learned that the foremost of skills to acquire knowledge is listening. Trust me. More than reading or researching, listening. Sanātana dharma is always about Shravanam. Keep listening. 2000 hours a year you have to listen. Plan it out, whether you want to do it while gymming, cooking. Listen, keep listening. The more you listen, it will get fixed in your mind. Shravanam, listening. Because if nobody has the patience today. After 16 minutes, slowly we'll start changing our listening, Shravanam. Then what you listen, you have to speak it out. Kirtanam, Vayinal Padi. Vishnu Smaranam, the toughest of all. Remember. People will listen, people will speak, but not remembering. If I tell the same topic 1 year later, Pudusa kekra mari. You should know. You should tell. No, sir, that day, third day, after 1 hour, you spoke about this. You should tell. Vishnu Smaranam, remembrance. Pada Sevanam. Treat your guests well. Children should learn the art of treating their guests well. Pada Sevanam. Archanam. Why do we go do Archana in a temple? Why do we do Archana in a temple? Because you end up seeing some person who has come to your house, you meet that person, you may say some nice words about it. So nice to see you after a long time. So you come, end up meeting the Lord, you want to praise the Lord. We are not so adept enough to come up with our own stuti. So we borrow from other Ashtotaram and we say the one who has protected the worlds. Trivikramaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha, Sridharaya Namaha. So we should concentrate on that Archana. It's not only about payment. $5 I've paid. So what? Listen. Prakrityai Namaha, Vikrityai Namaha, Vidyayai Namaha, Sarvabhutahita Pradayai Namaha, Shraddhayai Namaha, Swahayai Namaha, Swadhayai Namaha, Dhanyayai Namaha, Hiranmayai Namaha. Archana should also be performed in a very beautiful manner. People who listen should also, it's a two-way process. You listen, he performs. Archanam, Vandanam. Put your palms together. What has taught Vandanam? COVID. I don't know. with the, in that WhatsApp, if you type thanks, next you will get this. Vandanamo Raghu Nandana Setu Bandhana. Vandanam Dasyam. To assume subservience to the Lord. Sakhyam, to treat the Lord as your friend. In Sanātana Dharma, you can do all wondrous things. You can say, I won't talk to Krishna for 3 days. I want to pinch his cheeks. You can do all with that. In other religions, generally, their tenets may not allow. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying they will not say, I'll go pinch my Lord. I'll hit my Lord. In Sanātana Dharma, you can do whatever you want with Krishna. If you are angry with him, don't talk to him for 3 days. So, dasyam sakhyam atmanivedanam, submit yourself. Iti pumsar pitar vishnor bhaktische navalakshana. My dear Father, I have learned the 9 essential characteristics of blemishless, uninterrupted, unadulterated bhakti in the school period. We would have appreciated. Nammala photo eduthu, video eduthu, we would have circulated. The father now says, how dare you? And he pushes this boy to the elephants. He says, let the elephants trample him. I don't mind. He speaks about the person whom I have been wanting to seek revenge. When the elephants come running, this boy knows the elephant language. He says, oh elephant. He whispered in the elephant. Elephant whisperers, right? He whispered in the elephant. He said, Mr. Elephant, your father's father was called Mr. Gajendra. That Gajendra cried for help, and my Lord came and protected that Gajendra. The Lord who protected your forefather called Gajendra resides in my heart. If you trample upon me, you may prove ungrateful to your ancestors. Would you want to do this? He communicated. The elephant put one reverse and went back. Then he was thrown from the top of a mountain. All this will come. The boy was, see, how much ever you try forcing your philosophy and theology on the others, the efforts will be futile. Things have to come naturally. Even if they are children, of course, parents may want to say, come to the temple. But beyond a point, if you force them, there's no use. Of course, you want to guide them. You feel that coming to the temple may help them. But if the child doesn't feel beyond a point, there is no use in coaxing. Nothing comes with force. He tried to prove Nastikavadam in his house. But the biggest Astika was born to him. The husband may end up preaching atheism. The wife will go temple after temple. Sashulaira viddha subahumatito diggajaganaihi mahasarpairdamstropyanashana garahara vidhutaha. He was saved from every attempt. Now, Hiranyakashipu got fed up. This little boy of 2 feet 4 inches seems to escape every path of death that I lay for him. Then he called this boy, come here. This little boy, kadugu mari odradhu. He came. What, father? Somebody is protecting you. Tell me who he is. What is this, father? There is no secret. The one who protects you is protecting me. Not allowed. Tell me the specific answer. Don't go around. Don't beat around the bush. Tell me who he is. No, father, the one who is within you is within me. Oh, Shanilu Mulan, Konilu Mulan, Mameru Kundrilu Mulan, Nichollum Shollilu Mulan. He is smaller than the smallest, larger than the largest. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyana, Anoraniyana Mahato Mahiyana Aprameyana Adisidalu Yashode Jagado Udharana. Nee sollum sollilum ulan. You are asking, where is he? He has pervaded into every syllable of your question. The moment Prahlada said the Lord is omnipresent, Acharya said it is only then when the Lord himself realized that he is omnipresent. He realized, oh, yes, I am omnipresent. Then Hiranyakashipu said, is he there in this pillar? Why did he point to that pillar? Alvar says, Alandu itta thunai. Because he personally constructed that pillar. So he knew there is only cement and brick. Alandu itta thunai. You know, when this boy was asked, where is he? This incident of Srimad Bhagavatam was internalized by Bhattatri of Guruvayur. He was equally amazed. He thought, how could a little boy have the audacity to answer a tyrant king like Hiranyakashipu? This could or could not have happened. He closed his eyes for a moment in Guruvayur. While he opened, the sanctum sanctorum of Krishna had disappeared and that had turned into a pillar. He for a moment saw where he was. He saw Hiranyakashipu running towards the pillar. As he struck the pillar, Stambhe Ghattayato Hiranyakashipo Karnau Samachurnayan Agurna Jagadanda Kunda Kuharo Ghorastava Bhudravaha Shutva Yamkila Daitya Raja Hridaye Purvakadapya Shrutam Kampa Kasyana Sampapata Daitosma Amboja Bhuvishtara Bhukhandam Varanandam Paravara Viratam Dambatam Poru Dampam Dim 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 didimbam dahama vidahamai jampa jampaischa jampaihi tulyas 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 dhuma 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 kai kumangkaihi etatte purna yuktam ahara karaha patumam narasimha shankam chakram chachapam parashuma shamishum shulapashankushastram vajram khetam kalamusalagada kantam matyugradamstram Jvala Kesham Trinetram Hara Musalagadam Harake Yurabhusham Vande Pratyeka Rupam Parapada Nivasa Patumam Narasimha Jam 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 Jakaram Jasha Jasha Jashitam Janudesham Jam Jakaram Hum 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 Pakaram Harita Kahasa Yam Dishe Vambakaram Vam 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 Bakaram Vadanadalitatam Vama Paksham Supaksham Lam 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 lakaram laguvana vijaya patumam narasimha. Jumped a man lion. It was a combination that was never seen before. Vedanta Deshika says Trailokyam etadakhilam narasimha garbham. And Shuka Brahmam says Mimam samanasya samuthito grato nisimharupas tadalam bhayanakam pratapta chamikara chandalochanam Spuratkata kesara jhrumbitananam karala damshram karavala chanchala spuranti jikvam bhrukuti mukolbanam stabdhodvakaranam girikandharadbhuta vyatattanasam hanubheda vishanam. The tongue that was loitering from the face of the lion was as if the sword would go atop in the air of a warrior who fights in the war. The air that was gushing in and gushing out looked as if the hot airs were getting inside a cave and that came out. The eyes looked as if 1,000 suns were smelted together. Their ears stood up. The nakam was as if Vajrayudham had turned into a nakam. Then jumped the Lord and then he pulled Hiranyakashipu to the doorstep. Took Hiranyakashipu right on his laps. And then as he took on his lap, he used the nakam to tear at a period which was a transition stage between the day and the night. At that point, Andiyam Podil Ari Uruvagi Ariyai Alittavanai Pandanai Tira. Periyalvar says, this Nrisimha was born. If you treat him as a child, he was just born from the pillar. The pillar is the one that has delivered Nrisimha. Mother is the pillar. In those days, they were very careful with the newborn child because they believed that there will be infections to the newborn child. So there used to be a skin infection called Pandanai. So Periyalvar says, for my baby Nrisimha, Pandanai disease should not come. So he says, Andiyam Podil Ari Uruvagi Ariyai Alittavanai Pandanai Tira Palland Palla. This ailment shouldn't come to Nrisimha. Pandanai Tira Palland. It was, he was made to sit on that lap, which technically isn't Akasham or Bhumi. He sat on the doorstep, which is technically neither outside nor inside, because I don't know about the concept here. In Bharata Deshan, there's something called total carpet area while you buy a house. So while they do it, they'll take the doorstep. But when you sell it, then that has to be minused. So you wouldn't know whether it's like a metalloid that's oscillating between a metal and a non-metal. So that's a doorstep. He was a man-lion. Not at all imaginable to bring two different species, two different kingdoms. Forget the phylum and the species and the genus. Two different kingdoms, they are coming together. So it is called Aghatita Ghatana Samarthyam. All those which are impossible come together. And Nakam. For this Nakam, there is Madhvacharya. Madhvara idara illi? So, Madhvacharya came up with a stuti called Nakastuti. He has done a stuti to the nails. Beautiful shloka. Now Vedanta Deshika says Satapatala Bhishane Sarabhasa Attahasodbhate Spuratkriti Parisputat Brukutike Pivaktre Krite Kripa Kapatake Sarin Danujadimba Dattastana Saroja Sadrisha Drisha Vyatibhishajyate Vyajyate. He says something special. Now I'll just take you to a small Vedantic portion and then let's come and tear Hiranyakashipu. Tearing in this Hiranyakashipu will take 5 minutes sojourn. It's a very important Vedic injuncture. I'm going to tell one message from Sri Bhashyam, the celebrated commentary of Bhagavad Ramanuja. It takes little efforts from the listener's side to understand the nuances of Vedanta. To some extent I can help. Beyond that, Ram ke bharose. Now, when we divide creation, we do it in 3 parts. One is called Achetana Tattvam. Second is called Chetana Vargam. Third is Ishvara Tattvam. Achetana, Chetana, Ishvara. Achetana means? Inanimate. Chetana? Yeah, consciousness. Now, okay. I will tell you a few basics to understand what is Chetana and Achetana. Chaitanyam generally means knowledge. Many of my Telugu friends used to have this name, Chaitanya. Chaitanya means knowledge. Knowledge is of 2 types. Dharmi Jnanam. Second is Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. The Jivatma which is present in each of us. So this Jivatma has one inseparable knowledge on it, completely made of it. It is called Dharmi Jnanam. That knowledge has only one attribute, which is to keep reminding the I-ness, which is I. It will keep telling that only. That is that knowledge attribute. That is why if somebody asks you the next morning, how did you sleep? You say, I slept well. If you have slept well, how do you know that I has slept well? So when you say, I slept well, that slept well denotes the body. That I hasn't slept. So I in the bracket hasn't slept well, bracket body slept well. So body has slept well. I did not sleep. You know this bracket f of x in math, a function of x. So this knowledge is dharmi jnanam. There is a next knowledge called dharma bhuta jnanam. What is that knowledge? It is called attributive knowledge. The definition given by the great polymath Vedanta Deshika is Vishaya Prakashana Velaile Swashrayatikka Swayam Prakasham. I'll give you an example. Age of 2 I am. My grandfather takes me. He shows one light and says, light, light. This is light. He's teaching me. I'm a 2-year-old boy. My grandfather teaches. Now what does my eye absorb? My eye absorbs that light. So it will absorb the object that is emitting that light And now it will go into that memory cell. And now, in that Harry Potter, the pensieve. Like that pensieve, it will go into my head. That this is the attribute of light. This is light. While I'm at the age of 3, my grandfather doesn't have to remind me. Now, after looking at the light, I will tell my grandfather, Tata, light. Why? The moment the eye comes in contact with that, it takes a photograph, sends it to my memory. And from the archives, it retrieves, stating that attributes match. So, this is light. Say it. Now I say it. So, this capturing and speaking is so quick that you won't realize that they are multi-stage processes. This is called attributive knowledge, because the knowledge of objects comes to light only when one of the 5 senses comes in contact with that object. Only if masala vada is made, masala vada, I will ask. Every 24/7 I won't be asked masala vada, I won't ask. Unless and until I own a shop of masala vada. Right? So this is attributive knowledge. So dharmi jnanam, dharma bhuta jnanam. Dharmi jnanam will keep being active. Dharma bhuta jnanam only is dormant in many cases. Let's take a coma patient. Dharmi jnanam is there. Dharma bhuta jnanam is not there. That is why even after seeing you, they are not able to retrieve. Atimber na yaran theriyirda, he'll remain stationary. He won't be able to answer because dharma bhuta jnanam is not active. Let's say in Parkinson's, you have certain words like bradykinesia, akinesia, fraternation, and so on. Now we have got dharmi jnanam, dharma bhuta jnanam. Dharma bhuta jnanam uses dharmi jnanam as a substratum. So dharmi jnanam is the base. Dharma bhuta jnanam sits on it. How does it sit? I'll give you an example of a sweet. Mysore pak. Come, let's discuss Mysore pak. We use basin flour. In Seattle also basin flour only, right? US So basin flour, you use sugar, ghee, all of this, and you make Mysore pak. So you add sugar in that Mysore pak concoction and make a nice cake. There are certain wonderful cooks who would say after the Mysore pak is put on a greased plate, at one point sprinkle sugar on it. Have you seen? That sugar should not be sprinkled when the concoction is too hot. Then the sugar will melt. It should not be put much later after it turns cold. Then that sugar won't stick. It should rightly be put at that period where the sugar won't melt, but it has to stick. So the sugar sticks on the Mysore pak. Is there sugar inside the Mysore pak? Yes. That sugar which is pervading inside the Mysore pak is dharmi jnanam. The sugar stuck on the Mysore pak is dharma bhuta jnanam. Those objects or entities which allow the dharma bhuta jnanam to stick are called chetana vargam. Those that don't allow are achetana. So you should be very clear. You should not say inanimate, animate. If you're a Vedantic student, you should say, if the object is a substratum to dharma bhuta jnanam, it is chetana. If it is not, it is achetana. Correct? Now, where does this jivatma is chetana varga? Now, where does this jivatma inside the body come from? My mother. My mother has produced me. Is my mother chetana? Yes, she has got a jivatma within her body. So, the jivatma within my mother's body is a chetana vargam. Chetana produces a chetana. Formula puriyarda ningala periyalache. So chetana produces a chetana. Achetanam produces achetanam. See, for example, if you see the raw materials of this mind, it will be achetanam. That will produce an achetanam. Correct? Achetana produces achetanam. Chetana produces chetanam. Now, who is Parabrahmam, Ishvara? Is he Chetana or Achetana? He is Chetana, but he is super Chetana, like surf excel. We are surf. He is surf excel. So he is super Chetana. Ultimately, he is Chetana Vargam. But the problem with Ishvara is he produces both Chetana and this doesn't fall under the logical mind. Correct? First we should deal if the question is clear. Now, Bhagavad Ramanuja wanted to give this as an answer in Sri Bhashyam. He says, there could be exceptions to this general rule. He gives an answer. He says, let's take a scorpion. In zoology, we generally largely have two categories, oviparous and viviparous. Oviparous are the birds, because from the mother bird, the little one comes as an egg. The egg gets incubated to a chick. So there's a two-stage process. So the egg comes out, from the egg comes a chick. This is oviparous. We are all viviparous. My mother did not lay an egg. I came directly from my mother. So we are all viviparous. But scorpion is ovoviviparous. The little one that is formed is within the egg, and that egg is within the mother's womb. Now, if the little one has to come out, it needs the incubating conditions like that of a bird. But the egg is within the mother. Now, where will she go? So, in those days, in the backyard, there used to be a cow shed. And if you have a cow, those of you who have seen cow sheds, you'll know every now and then the cows will keep laying cow dung. They don't have time schedule. Every now and then there will be cow dung. Cow dung will be hot when it comes. So the mother scorpion would exactly know the strategic location where the dung would come. It would go and position itself there. The dung will fall on it. With the heat in the dung, the egg will break and it will tear open the mother scorpion and the baby scorpion will come out. So the dung is achetanam. That has facilitated the birth of chetanam. So Ramanuja said, if you go by your logic, how did the baby scorpion, which is a chetanam, come from an achetanam called as a dung? On the other hand, he also states there is another exception to the rule. When Nrisimha came out of the pillar, what is pillar? Nrisimha? Chetana, Paramachetana. What did he use to tear Hiranyakashipu? Nails. Nails, 99% they are a collection of dead cells. Oh, except the cuticle portion, which is a living part. Can you say nails are living? Yes, because they keep growing. But can you call them inanimate? Yes, because they are dead cells. Because when you cut them, you don't feel the pain. Unless and until you cut the finger along with it, you won't feel the pain. So, from Paramatma Chetana, nails Achetana have come. Paramatma, whose Paramachetana, has come from the Achetana, which is pillar. So, logic or Tarka Shastram need not always have to come to our rescue. There are certain things which play beyond the logic. Understand that, says Ramanuja in Sri Bhashyam. Now let's come back to Hiranyakashipu. Now Hiranyakashipu is torn open by the Lord. Now the Lord was searching inside, it seems. Now one poet asks, what was he searching? The Lord thought, this body has produced the best of the devotees called Prahlada. Maybe one more devotee is hiding within this body, and the Lord wanted to check if there is another devotee hidden who will be as priceless as Prahlada. Now, as the Lord was tearing Hiranyakashipu, now we may wonder. First question, why is the Lord showing disparity towards one devotee? Consider a mother. A mother has two sons. The first son is normal. The second son has diabetes. Doctor says do not give sweets to that son. But the first son doesn't know, it will keep giving sweets. The mother will keep telling twice. The third time she will go and thrash the first son. Don't do it. I am a third person. I don't know any of the background. Are you a mother? You are hitting your first son. That time she will tell, he is also my son. He didn't do the right thing to his brother. That's why he thrashed him. Same is the case with Lord. Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada are his children. Hiranyakashipu tormented Prahlada. So the Lord had to show Hiranyakashipu his place. It was not out of revenge, but to correct that boy. So this is not disparity. This is no Vaishamyam or Nairghanyam. The Lord was a bit angry at Hiranyakashipu's behavior. That is when Mahalakshmi goes and sits. She says, Prahlada, you do stuti, I will go and sit on him. I will cool him down. Pahi pahi amrutavalli kripa kari vatsale ghatika drisha priya kari padala drisha ranjani deshika pujita kamale shankara pujita vasundhare pahi Subhashini sumadhura bhashini mandahayasini manasolasini aho bilahari priyakari aho bilahari priyakari aho bilahari priyakari aho bilahari priyakari Kari priyakari, hari priyakari, bilahari priyakari, aho bilahari priyakari, aho bilahari priyakari, kamalasana pitha sthite, narayana dasa hridaya sthite, pahi. This is my composition in Sanskritam. There was no technical composition on Mahalakshmi who cooled down Nrisimha. So to just fill that gap up, I came up with this composition. Now, Prahlada does stuti of Nrisimha. Now the Lord asks, ask any boon. This boy said, see, my father was ignorant of understanding Bhagavata Apacharam. He seems to have hurt me. And you seem to have taken this behavior of his to your heart. Please forgive my father. This was Prahlada's boon. The Lord said, okay, I'll forgive your father. Hiranyakashipu, I've forgiven you. Now you ask another boon. The boy said, see, when you have appeared in front of me, I should have just had the darshana samana sakshatkaram. I should have adored you. The moment you said ask for a boon, I opened my mouth and asked. Such a shameless boy I am. If at all you have the magnanimity to grant me another boon, grant me this. If at all in the future you appear in front of me and you say, Prahlada asked for a boon, I should have the maturity to say, I don't need any boon, just seeing you is a boon. Give me that boon. Quite Prahlada's greatness. Parama Bhagavata Mahapurana Vibhakara Sanaka Sanandana Dhisha Surakim Purusha Kanaka Kashipu Sutanarada Tumburu Pavana Sunu Bala Chandradhara Shuka Saroja Bhava Bhusura Varulu Parama Pavanulu Kanulu Shashvatulu Kamala Bhava Sukhamusada Nubhava Mugagayandatto Manubhavulu. Great Prahlada. Now the Lord said, Prahlada, you will be made the king, and this continued. As Lord Shiva also came and gave this mantra, Nrisimhatapini Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jvalantam Sarvato Mukham. Fill in the blanks. Nrisimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrityor Namamyaham. While this was happening on one side, Parikshit said, wonderful narration. Shukji. Now, I have a question. Shuka says, I know you have only questions. Like Nagesh. So what is your next question? One elephant of extreme devotion to the Lord was once caught by a crocodile. I heard that the Lord came and protected the elephant. Can you tell me about this? Badarayana yetatte shrotimicchamahe vayam hariryatha gajapatihi grahagrastu mamuchuchat tatkatha sumahat punyam dhanyam swastyayanam shubham yatra yatrottama shloko bhagavan giyate harihi. Now, Shuka Brahmam says there used to be an elephant, and this elephant came along with its few female friends, elephants, to the pond, which was by the foothills of Trikuta Parvatam. This elephant got into the pond. It was a hero elephant. You know, there is one festival infested with elephants. It is called Puram festival in Thrissur. Have you heard of it? Many elephants will come. In that, there is one hero elephant called as Ramachandran. It has got 7 FIRs against it. But it has got a Facebook page also. That elephant has a Facebook page. Everybody will be waiting with that phone to take a selfie with that elephant. Great elephant it will be. Now, This elephant came and it immersed itself into the waters. It was just playing in the waters and took one flower. Generally our acharyas say that the elephant wanted to submit the flower to the Lord. Nothing of that is here. It took as a style statement. Like our head commander-in-chief, leader, you know them? Head commander-in-chief, Tala. See, if you don't know them, you won't get moksham. Talai, Talabadi, commander-in-chief, Thalaivar. So, why are heroes so popular and why are Upanyasakas so unpopular? Because we are not that stylish. The Kannadi Shuttuvar. I tried this, 2 broke. Right? You need to have that style within you. Singanadai pottu sigarathile nadandarna singamalla pakathla paathundu. That hero should be able to vanquish 50 people in a yuddham. All the 50 should fall. Hero should have no hurt. Avikaraya, Shuddhaya, Nityaya, Paramatmane. Behind him, the transformer should burst in that sparks. Our hero will walk in the theatre and then we will do Abhishekam to him. Sahasra Sirasa Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyatishthad Dashangulam. You have to do Tirumanjanam to that hero. So here the elephant plucked that beautiful lotus with its long stalk and held it in its trunk. All the female elephants are wanting a style da. Great da. That elephant was about to get out of the waters. 3 of its legs came out. The last leg was caught. That elephant checked what is wrong and it turned. It was caught in the jaws of a very strong crocodile. See, whatever I am saying is a National Geographic Channel footage. See, you see it day in and day out. People go to Masai Mara, right? So they'll check the migration, they'll go to safaris. You'll see this day in and day out. There is nothing for it to come in Bhagavata. Till now, it is a normal fight that happens in any jungle or forest between a crocodile and an elephant. What is so great? It turns great now. This elephant, after having tried to fight the strength and the prowess of the crocodile, now remembered its previous janma. Yesterday, you remember, at about 8:15, I spoke about Jati Smaraha. Who was that person? There is another example of Gajendra. He remembered his previous janma. What was he? He was a Pandyan king. He was in Madurai, next to Jigardanda shop. His name was Indradyumna. Indradyumna was once doing Archana, Aradhanam to the Lord. Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudanaya Namaha, Trivikramaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha. He was doing Archana. That time, a Rakshaka came and informed, Sir, Kumbha Muni has come. Who is Kumbha Muni? Agastya. He was born of a pot, is what we believe, Petri. Pura Kumbha Sambhava Munivara Prapujitam Trikona Madhyagatam Kumbha Sambhava Muni. So, that Agastya came. Agastya's pituitary gland had not matured that much, very short rishi. So, while you don't have to rise, he will reach the eye level. So, this Indradyumna was performing Archana. Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha. That time Agastya came. Keshavaya Namaha, Sridharaya Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha, Padmana. He just nodded his head. Because, see, many of you will have this habit of reciting Sahasranamam. Sahasranamam, how many years you've been reciting together, you have to be very vigilant while reciting. There is one slip is enough for you to go on a loop mode. You will never reach Vanamali Gadi Sharngi. You would have thought, Ippadane shonno, Vijitatma, Vidheyatma, why is it coming again? Vishnu Sahasranamam can prove very, very detrimental at times. It will just put you on a loop. So, here, this person did not want to discontinue. See, if somebody calls, you say, Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro, Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu, Bhuta Krit, Bhuta Brit Pavo, Na Illen Jolidungo, Bhuva Pavo, Bhuta, Handa Ashad and phone to our Illen Cholida Chonna. Bhutakrit bhutabridbhavo bhutatma bhutabhavanaha putatma shata cha paramatma cha muktanam paramagatihi avyayah purusha sakshi kshetrajño இன்னும் எழுந்துக்கலவர் க்ஷேத்ரஜ்ஞோ க்ஷரயேவ ச யோகோ யோக விதாம் நேதா கலரின்னு தீஞ்சு போயிடுது. பிரதான புருஷேஸ்வரः நாரசிம்மவபு ஸ்ரீமான் கேசவ புருஷோத்தமः சர்வசர்வசிவஸ்தானுர்பூதாதிர்நிதிரவ்யயः சம்பவோ பாவனம் கிளம்பிடுவேள சம்பவோ பாவனோ பர்த்தா இப்போ தான் வந்திருக்கார். சம்பவோ பாவனோ பர்த்தா பிரபவ. Now poor Indradyumna did this. He said, Achyutaya Namaha Ananta. He just nodded his head and said, welcomed Agastya. Agastya got angry. He said, is this the way you welcome someone? Since you have been nodding your head, I pronounce this curse on you that you shall turn into an elephant that keeps nodding its head. Idukallam poi shaabam. Poor that Indradyumna was born as the elephant. Indradyumnaha Pandya Khandadi Rajastvadbhaktatma Chandanadrau Kadachit Tvatsevayam Magnadhir Aluloke Naivagastyam Praptam Atithyakamam. He got that shapam. Poor elephant was trying to do its level best in fighting the crocodile. Puranam tells it fought for years together. See, years literally should not be taken. If you enjoy some person's company, 2-3 days of their time period will go like a minute. If the discourse is boring, 2 hours will seem like 2 yugas. Arunachal Kavi says, Panikala varijam pola niram kushi pagalor yugamaga kaditale prayasi ninaitange ravana annan vara chi chi nillada என்று ஏசி தனித்து தன் உயிர் தன்னை தான் விட மகராசி சாரும் போதே காணும் சமயமே தேவாசி இனி தாமதம் செயலாகாதென்றிடர் பேசி ராமா 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 என்றெதி பேசி கண்டேன் 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 சீதையை கண்டேன் Raghava. For every minute of hers in Lanka was like a yugam, because she was away from Rama. 13 years they lived happily. The 14th year was all these calamities in Rama's life. So the elephant kept fighting for years, which means it fought for a few hours or minutes that seemed like years. But we should let the elephant fight till 6:35 tomorrow. Then we will have Gajendra Moksham. Now there is a beauty. Nisimha, what is his greatness? Vedanta Deshika says, if he chooses to protect his devotee, come what may, nothing can stop him. In case he won't, in case, looking at our demeanor, behavior, he is not convinced enough to protect us, you go to anybody else that won't help. If he chooses to protect, you won't need anybody else. If he doesn't choose to protect you, there is no use of anybody else. Tvai rakshati rakshakaihi kimanyaihi. When you have choose to protect, when he chooses to protect, what use of are the others? Tvai rakshati rakshakaihi kimanyaihi. Tvai cha arakshati rakshakaihi kimanyaihi. If you choose to not protect, there is no use of going to others. Iti nischita dhishrayami nityam dhare vegavati tatashrayam tvam. The shloka of Deshika on Nisimha has been beautifully put into a padakam of this Nisimha. It's inscribed on it. It's a painting by one of the Vidushis of your own city. Where is Jayashri madam? She has done it. So, it's a painting by your Seattle Vidushi. So look at that Nisimha. So let Nisimha engage us tonight. Tomorrow I have to complete part 2 of Gajendra Moksham. This is like serial. Malarum, Todarum, Roja, Malarum, Vani Rani Varval. So tomorrow I have to do in part 2. Then I have to do Matsyavataram, Kurmavataram, Vamanavataram, and then go to Krishna Jananam. Very beautiful episode of Krishna Jananam. Krishna Jananam of Dashamaskandam is an experience, how Krishna is born. That was his question. So his question is answered on day 4. So I'm sure all of you, I've told you, my lectures, there is no weekend, weekday. Whether it is weekday or strong day, you have to come. Right? So, just 4th day, 5th day, 6th day, 7th day. Compensate. Somehow get up early in the morning, finish your work. You have to make time. If you have the will, you can make time. Come and sleep here. That is okay. You have to be physically present. That's all I expect. So, tomorrow is Krishna Jananam. So, please do come for Krishna Jananam. And let's celebrate Sri Krishna Avataram tomorrow in our own temple premises. I would like to thank Vidwan Sri Krishna Sarangapani Swami, because it's not very easy to play for a harikatha, because we generally don't adhere to any talam. We'll go by the bhavam. So he has, and there is no rehearsal. I saw him today. I saw his mridangam today. He has seen me for the first time. So you can call it impromptu to a large extent. So I thank his Vidvat, his Acharya, him for being here. So tomorrow we will be having Sri Krishna Jananam. Please be present tomorrow. Please bring people, tell them that you can understand, comprehend his English. Even without the fast and the masters and the mask, you can still understand his English. He comes with the Indian accent English. You can still understand his English, and please bring them here. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swastif Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyirva Buddhyatmanaba Prakrtisva Bhavat Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Dhatre Karuna Sudhapte Kamvadi Divya Yudha Satkaraya Vakalaya Dhishanamo Namaste Narayana 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 Anantaramakya Mahi Pranitam Stotram Pathetyastu Narastrikalam Vatalayetascha Kripa Phalena Labheta Sarvani Cha Mangalani Narayana 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 Thank you.